Thanks to Prime Matter for sponsoring this video. Now, this probably won't come as a surprise to many of you, but I absolutely love strategy games. I've been playing strategy games basically my entire life, and the one subgenre of strategy that I keep coming back to is real-time strategy. I personally am a massive fan of RTS games, which, you know, judging by my YouTube channel, you probably figured out by now. Anyways, because of that, I, of course, keep an eye out on all future and announced RTS games, and one that's been on my radar for a little while is Crossfire Legion. I checked out this game a couple of months ago when it first went into early access on Steam, and since then, the developers have recently reached out and asked if I wanted to make a sponsored video. So that's exactly what I'm doing today. Now, in case the name Crossfire rings a bell, that's because it's a very popular first-person shooter. I've personally never tried it before, but I know that especially over in Asia, there's tons of people that play it daily. Apparently, it's got over 1 billion users worldwide. Because that game has been so popular, there have been a lot of spin-offs from that game as well. So there have been movies, TV shows, and now also other games as they are expanding into real-time strategy. So, the developers that have been put in charge of this spin-off are called Blackbird Interactive. They're a very experienced group of people that are very well known to make RTS games. They, for example, made Homeworld Deserts of Karak, and they're also currently working on Homeworld 3. That's another RTS game. Now, if you're interested in checking out this game, there's a link down below in the description of this video that will take you straight to the Steam store. Now, Crossfire Legion is a classic RTS game with all of the game modes that you expect. So there's a campaign that has 4 different acts in total. There's auto match, which is a ladder-like system. There's a lobby browser, custom games. I know there's also co-op. There's a bunch of different stuff that you can do in the game. But what I want to focus on primarily in this video is 1 versus 1. But since, of course, I'm going to try and play while also, you know, explaining what I'm doing, I'm going to go ahead and do a 1 versus 1 against the easy AI, just so hopefully things will be relatively manageable. I'm going to go ahead and select standard versus player. I'm going to go ahead and select one of the 2-player maps. We can either go on Frostbite or on Mountainside. Let's go with Mountainside. It doesn't really matter all too much. I'm going to go ahead and create the lobby and add a bot. All right, now, as you may have already noticed, there are 3 factions that I can choose between. So there's the Global Risk, New Horizon, and then there's Blacklist. Global Risk. They rely on their numbers and their consistency. By the time one wave has nearly fallen in battle, a second has arrived and it's ready to provide support. We have the New Horizon. They specialize in extreme power and durability. Though slow and expensive, their forces oft succeed even when outnumbered 2-1 or more. So Blacklist forces are fast and dynamic, unconventional weaponry and guerrilla tactics, and sure opponents are never sure what to expect in the next encounter. So essentially all of these 3 factions, they play very differently from one another, as you may have already expected. The one that I want to show you today that I think is relatively straightforward to... well, honestly, they're all relatively straightforward to explain if you know, are well familiar with RTS game. But I think this one, since I don't have to focus on making as many units and I can spend my resources a little bit easier, I'm going to go with New Horizon. They have a very Protoss type of approach. Now, what makes this game very interesting is the loadout right over here. So before the game begins, I can choose my loadout of units. So the way this works is I can have my commander over here. This provides a bunch of abilities. We've got our, well, very first unit. So we have either the Vampire or the Minotaur. And if I select the Minotaur, I will not be able to play with the Vampire and vice versa. So for every, I guess we can call them unit categories, I can pick a different unit, which is really cool. So I know that with some of the more recent updates to this game, they have been adding more and more units to it. And obviously that drastically changes the balance of the game too. And it certainly creates an interesting dynamic between the different races if you're doing a competitive match. I'll let the AI just play a different one, so they'll get to play with the Global Risk. And I'm going to go ahead and select Angel and all of the other default ones that the game already had preset for me. Now, as the game loads up, you'll see what I mean when I talk about a classic RTS game. A lot of RTS games that have come out recently, they've tried reinventing the wheel. And while oftentimes it works, it's not entirely necessary. And maybe this is just because I'm so familiar with a lot of old RTS games that I just really like the standard interface that we've settled on over here. And that's what they've gone with right here in Crossfire Legion 2. So in the top right-hand corner, you can see the 2 resources that we've got. First off, we've got materials that my worker units over here are returning already back towards the base. And then over here, we've got fuel as well that's indicated right over there in the top right. Next to it is the current supply count, so I can obviously increase my supply so I can actually make more stuff. And as you may have already guessed, right now I'm going to be supply blocked. Well, as soon as this worker pops, that is going to be my 10th supply, and I will not be able to produce anything until I make a supply structure. So they're all a little bit different for this particular faction. It's called the power node. This structure provides supplies required for additional units, and the power node can recharge nearby unit shields. So it builds pretty quick. So even when you do hit a supply block, it's not gonna take too long before you actually, are once again able to produce more things. In the bottom left-hand corner, we've got a mini-map. Right next to it, we've got a couple abilities that I'll go over in just a moment. These are pretty cool as well. They have to do with the commander. And in the bottom right, we've got ourselves our default setup, our command card over here as well. I've actually set up a hotkey right here for the New Horizon core base. That is the main over here. I have put it up to hotkey 4, which is what I like to do. And all of the hotkeying, the shift queuing, the multiple building selections while holding down shift, all of that works as you expect it to. Which I know sounds very illogical, but a lot of RTS games don't actually have those, what I consider to be relatively basic things anymore. So I like that they haven't tried to go too far from what is considered to be the established standard. You know what, before I hit another supply block, I'm just going to go ahead and put down another one of those structures. And I'm also going to go ahead and take another base. This is what an expansion looks like. So there's multiple locations of that on the map. I'm going to go ahead and build the Horizon core base, a second one right over here inside of this section. And that will allow me to obviously start harvesting those resources as well as soon as that one is finished. Alright, now, the game is relatively easy to understand as far as the tech route goes and the way that you unlock more things. So first off, here's all the structures that I can currently build. Relatively minimalistic. I think that's really easy to understand. Sometimes the games tend to get a little bit complex and they make it difficult to understand exactly what's going on. The first structure I can make is the infantry assembly. Next up, we have the vehicle assembly, and then we have the aerodrome. This is infantry units, as you may have already guessed. This is vehicles, and that one is airships. So I'll make one of those right over here. The structure is gonna, well, take a little bit of time to morph in. And once it's done, I'll be able to produce things out of it, so I'll make that hotkey number 3, and I'll set the rally point right over here. Now, I know the AI in this game is actually pretty decent, so even though I set this to the easy AI, maybe a little bit embarrassing to admit, but I did lose my first few games against the easy AI, which was mostly just me messing around, okay? But yeah, still not necessarily the greatest thing that ever happened in my RTS career. Either way, I'll make 2 of those infantry assembly machines just so I can actually get a decent army going in case the enemies decide to attack. So I'm gonna put 2 structures right there on hotkey 3. I can spam a little bit of APM so I can look cool. Very important to always look cool. And then I'll start making the Vampire. So the Vampire is one of the units that I selected before the game began. So this is a melee infantry unit equipped with energy swords. Leg implants allow them to quickly enter or exit attack range. Can be upgraded to leech energy from enemies to recharge their shields. So there they are. They have an activated dash ability. Well, I just dashed against the wall, but you can dash them around. It's on a relatively short cooldown. You can use it quite frequently. If you're familiar with the pacing of, for example, StarCraft 2, this game is going to feel a little bit slower. But honestly, I kind of like that. Because generally speaking, in StarCraft, for example, in StarCraft 2 in particular, if you hear your army is under attack, usually you've already lost your army, right? In this game, you have a little bit of time to respond. Now, one of the upgrades that I could get for these units is this one right over here, the lifesteal. I think that'll be helpful for when the enemies will, well, ultimately attack us. I'm going to send one of my worker units as well towards this sight tower over here in the middle of the map, so we have a little bit of vision. You may have already noticed. Are they already here? Oh yeah, they're already here. As you may have already noticed, currently the second unit here is grayed out, the Lycan. And that's because I need to upgrade my main structure. I have to upgrade my main structure here, my assembly machine, to be able to unlock the Lycan. So that's what we're going to do right now. And the way that this game works is that it does so for the other unit producing structures too. So currently I cannot actually get a vehicle assembly machine. Instead, in order to unlock the ability to get that structure going, I need to upgrade my main core base. So that's what I do right now. I'm also going to go ahead and put down another one of those things so I don't hit another supply block. We've chased down the enemy units here for a little bit, and I'll take control right over here of this sight tower. There we go. So we get a little bit of vision. I will send one of my dudes on over towards their base as well, just to see if they have expanded over there. And I'm also actually going to set up a power node over here, because it's going to be helpful for recharging the shields. The health bars work a little bit differently than you might be used to. So there's a section for shields, and then there's a section for hit points, which, yeah, works slightly differently than what you might normally expect, but you get used to that pretty quick. The Lycan are really cool. You'll see what they look like in just a moment. They're very nice to have, so we're starting up a couple of those. And I've already upgraded my, my main base over here too, and I'll be able to start up the vehicle assembly machine, of which I'll make 2 as well. I think that's a good idea. At the same time, I also want to start up a 3rd base if I can. And here's the Lycan. So the Lycan have an ability called Jump. That allows them to jump really far away. You can upgrade it as well with the Heavy Jump. So the Heavy Jump, well, let me just read it real quick. Unlocks the Heavy Jump ability, slows nearby enemies when landing from a jump, and temporarily reduce incoming damage, which is really, really nice. So I'll make a couple of those as well. Plus, these guys actually have guns. So, you know, if the opponents decide to come up with some air units, I can actually shoot them out of the sky, which has been one of my previous problems I've run into. I'll go ahead and start up a new base right over here. And we'll start rallying some new workers in that direction too. Now, these abilities over here in the bottom left, they're pretty cool. So these are from the hero commander that you choose at the beginning of the game. So I have one called the Null Field. The friendly units in the target area temporarily take less damage. And then we have one over here for the radiation zone. It deals a lot of damage. It deals a lot of damage. Okay, so real quick. Energy is acquired when units are destroyed or lost. So you're encouraged to be fighting quite frequently. Gotta go ahead and make this hotkey 5, and I'll start making a couple of Orions. So these are advanced support vehicles that can heal any type of ally. Can be upgraded to temporarily ensnare enemies or increase in allies. Yeah, it can basically help out, right? It's a very nice supportive unit. The Cyclops is amazing. This requires me to be at vehicle assembly level 2. The thing about the Cyclops, though, is that it's 16 supply each. So it said that at the beginning of the game, right? At the faction selection screen. This is an incredibly, how do you call that? Like, dense, I guess is a correct word. Like, it's a very supply-dense faction, where a lot of your units are very supply-heavy. There's a maximum of 200, so I can actually stop making workers right now. I'm gonna go ahead and upgrade this as well to the 3rd tier, so we can get some flying units going. They're always cool. Here's the Orion, by the way. Very nice little unit that we can use to heal up our troops. We can get some additional abilities too, but I'm not gonna worry about that. I'm gonna go ahead and actually send my units on over here because apparently the AI has already taken a 3rd. So just a few minutes into this game, the AI has already decided, nope, it's time to attack. So I'm gonna try and keep them contained on 2 bases if possible. Although that is already a pretty scary set of units. Gonna go ahead and jump. Okay, there we go. We stunned them, which is always nice. They have a couple other units coming up as well, but I can target that. You can see the unit responsiveness, by the way, is really good. Which is important, because it's easy for me to start complaining when the units don't maneuver around in a place that I expect them to, okay? Okay, I'll keep them contained on 2 bases. Because otherwise, the AI can actually, even the easy AI, can really get out of control. Okay, so we're killing their main. Always nice. Or killing their 3rd, rather. We'll be heading to their main later on. I'm gonna go ahead and make a couple of those Cyclops, but as I'm now a supply-blocked player, I'm gonna go ahead and make a couple more of those. And I'll actually set up a few over here at this newly acquired base too. It'd be nice if I could maybe make a couple of R&D labs as well, because that allows me to upgrade my units. Again, relatively straightforward to understand. I'm gonna send my reinforcements over here too. They already have one of those overlords over here. Okay, pretty scary. Hotkeying, by the way, pretty self-explanatory too. I like this. In the top left, we have a couple of indicators. So F1 is infantry, F2 is vehicles, F3 would be flying units, of which I've got 0, right now anyways. And then we've got F5 for the entire army, which is pretty nice. Can I make some? I'm gonna make a couple of Cyclops. They're also very expensive, by the way, so... Oh, I actually have not upgraded that 2nd structure over there to the 2nd tier. I see. Okay, I'll be sending those across the map as well as soon as we have them available. If you could maybe go sit out there, that would be fantastic. If you could go sit out there, that would also be nice. So we can see if the opponent decides to get a little bit aggressive. Okay. My R&D labs, these allow me to get a bunch of structures and a bunch of a bunch of upgrades for my units. So very self-explanatory. I just queued up a couple of them so I don't have to think about it for a little bit. But obviously, if you want to optimize, you're going to have to be a little bit smarter than what I'm doing right here. Get the null and void charge. I'd actually really like to have the upgrade here too for them. Here's the tank. The Cyclops. Dude does not mess around. But what I really want to show you is the final unit that I can get out of the flying, the hangar. Because there is a lot of fun stuff that you can get over there. I actually have to be careful though, because there is a chance that the opponents are gonna be attacking here momentarily. So as long as I sit out on the minimap and I can spot all of the incoming units, I think we should be okay. In the past, I've seen the AI actually rush out a bunch of flying units. So I'm gonna go ahead and get... Did I not already get that? Oh no, it's still going on right now. Okay. In the past, I did go up against that, and I did not have any resources to get anti-air units at that point in the game, which wasn't ideal. But I'm gonna try and prevent that from being the case this time around. Okay, we have a tank over here right now. Always nice. I'd like to make another one if I can, but again, we're already pretty much supply capped. So because of the heavy focus on expensive units here, I am encouraged to fight, right? I can't just continuously sit back. I have to actually make a move out here. Now I'm gonna go ahead and once again use my radiation zone there. That tank of mine is dealing a lot of damage. I could probably have tried jumping in here as well with some of the guys. There we go. That slows them down for a while. They've actually used fire at will themselves, which hurt my units quite a bit, and that tank that I had is gone now. I will get the laser targeting and we'll move forward. Maybe I can try and take out one more of their expansions. I don't think that's a bad idea. Currently, my abilities are on cooldown, which is not great. Even though they're melee units, or sorry, they can jump to melee range very easily. Currently, I'm lacking high ground vision. Okay. Gotta be very careful here. I don't think this is a great move. No, we're gonna use it to disengage. Go ahead, get out of there, guys. Okay. I've got this fourth base done right now. I've already got a ton of money in the bank. But I'm gonna use that to make some flying units. I'm gonna go ahead and put out the arrow drone over here. Very good. Gonna make that hotkey 6. You know what? Let's make... I think we can make a bunch of them. I think that's fine. Now, there's obviously a lot of strategizing with what units you want to get. So currently there are 75 units with 9 different commanders that all have special abilities. And obviously the developers can keep adding more if they want to. That way you can actually continuously, upgrade the game and keep it interesting, keep it fresh. Which I think is really sweet. I need to have more fuel if I want to make my ultimate units here momentarily. Maybe I should actually show you the Titan as well. The Titan is also really cool. 20 supply for one unit. 20. That is a lot. I think I have enough workers at this point though, because my main base is going to be running low here momentarily. I'm going to go ahead and make this hotkey 7, I think. And I'll just queue up more upgrades so we can continuously get stronger and stronger units. There's a little indicator as well on the upgrades that we currently have, so you can see the little notch over there. You will see those on the opposing players' units as well, which is pretty sweet. I think I'll attack with my Titan. I think that's what I'm waiting for. I'm gonna wait for my Titan to come out. I'm gonna go ahead and upgrade my arrow drones here already, and what I want to make is the Typhoon. The Typhon? I'm not exactly sure. Anyways, large airborne drone platform. It's slow moving, but it can bombard groups of enemy targets with explosive drones. So I'm going to be making those here momentarily, but I'm going to have to trade out quite a bit of supply before I can make use of that. The lab over here already. Ooh, there it is, the Titan. Very cool. Oh, gotta move, gotta move, gotta move. Almost a disaster. Let's get the big boy in here. So he's got Blitz, charge to the enemy or to the target location, okay. So these are pretty micro heavy. They've got recharge, quickly regenerate shields at the cost of energy, and it's got ground stomp as well. So a lot of abilities I can activate there. Problem here for the enemies, of course, is the fact that they are running out of juice, right? They don't have a lot of stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and get the shield upgrade here as well. So you see how it's all vertical and the upgrades are like pretty self-explanatory? The upgrade there is for the Typhoon. The upgrade there is for the Pegasus. There's Pegasus is also pretty cool, by the way. You can change a bunch of your abilities up. Anyways, let me put down a sentry turret over here. Just in case the enemies decide to get a little bit aggressive. Because, yeah, they are making a bit of a move out right now. Can I use that charge ability, maybe? right over here. I'm gonna wait. Hold! Come on, get him. Charge range is pretty short. And stomp. That is a lot of damage. Thanks in the meantime, dealing a ton of damage as well from a distance. We're moving forward. I don't think I've really lost a whole lot actually so far. Which makes it all the while more embarrassing that I've lost against these in the past. Jumping forward. I like how clean it is, you know? I think a lot of RTS games really make things more complex than they need to be. But it's obvious what units do. Okay, there's some flying units right now actually up in the air. If you guys could target that down, that would be really nice, because I don't have a whole lot of anti-air. I'm gonna start up with units that I've lost right now, a couple of those Typhoons at home. Now you can see actually that I am in a little bit of trouble now, because my anti-air is not doing so hot. So I think just for the sake of this video, I'm gonna sacrifice my units here. There you go. So I can make some more of the heavy hitters. So I'm starting up a lot of these, but I'm insufficient in population here. Okay. Maybe you guys can do a little bit of worker harassment. I don't think that's a bad idea. A lot of damage here being done by these. So they already have a couple of those morning stars here up in the air. Not entirely sure what's super good against those, but I'm assuming that my Typhoons are not going to be a bad choice. So the main base, it runs for quite a while, but yeah, there's only about 3,000 materials remaining right now. So the enemies really are getting to the point where it's becoming a little bit desperate. They need to get damage done on the other side of the map at this point, or maybe take an expansion of their own, but they are starting to run out of resources here. So we've killed their entire economy in that area. And here's the big boys. Here's the Typhoons. So those are the ultimate units that I can produce. Very cool. They take a while to come out as well. I want to make sure that I get these upgrades going too. The aircraft level 2 is very nice to have. We're almost done with the vehicle upgrade too, even though I don't really have any vehicles anymore. One thing that I might want to do though is make a couple more production structures. Just so I can reinforce this too, in case the enemies do get a little bit feisty. Okay. Making as many as I can. And I will try and hit them once more. So I've got vision over there. I'll retake the tower in the middle of the map. And then I'll send these across the map. Okay, got one more coming up. And I'll be remaxing, I think, on Lycans, just because I can. I think the Lycans are actually a really fun unit. Okay, they've started harassing me over here. A little bit dangerous. So this is technically, obviously, right next to their base. That is literally their main.
Signal clear. Typhon status green.
Okay.
Revectoring now. Typhon armed and deployed.
Just use the F3 hotkey there to select my additional Typhons, and they deploy little ships, little interceptor ships, to go after these units. And for obvious reasons, that is going to be pretty good. Now you can see their upgrades are actually a little bit better than mine. You don't have to click on them. Which is worth noting, I think. Because upgrades, I've found, are pretty important. How are my upgrades coming on over here? Let me start up the +3. Okay, I need to micro back my weakened units. I wonder if actually, if I make a power node over here, I'm assuming my shields also regenerate of the flying units. So I'm gonna go ahead and position you over there. This guy's taking a lot of the damage right now. Okay. So I think I should be able to get my my shield recharge here too. I can actually get the New Horizon base heal too. That is on the main structure that I've got. Not bad at all. Despite the fact that they've only been on 2 bases here for quite a while, they still have quite a big army.
Type and status green.
These are becoming to, or these are starting to be relatively desperate pushes though.
Receiving. In contact.
So we know for a fact that they're running out of money here.
Taking air fire. Tracking in.
But it's cool that in the next round, so say I do another match after this one, I can actually pick entirely different units. And despite the fact that we're still in the same faction, I'll be able to play something that is entirely different. So you can obviously adjust your strategy depending on what you want to be playing. The only downside of that is that if you pick something that is not super helpful,
Type and status green.
that might make the game a little bit trickier than you want it to be. I'm gonna go ahead and set up a couple of these.
Type and status green.
Where did I set my rally point for those again? Okay, I did set them at the tower in the middle.
Type and
Ooh,
status green.
careful. Okay, I've destroyed a lot of their structures already. These guys are very good against structures.
Type and armed and deployed. Type and status green. Deploying high yield
And since we are now right next to them, life gets pretty sweet. They did destroy a lot of my workers during all of this. Can I maybe move? Yeah, so my main base right now is depleted. I'm gonna go ahead and move a couple of those over here towards that new base. Or, well, relatively new at this point.
Engaging enemy vehicle. Revectoring now.
Cool.
Revectoring now.
You can see though that they're not particularly great against these small infantry units, right? So there's definitely a place as well later on in this game to still go after some of those too. As a matter of fact, I think I'm gonna sacrifice my Typhons right now and just use them to shut down as many of the structures as possible.
Revectoring now.
So this is their main... Oh. Well, maybe I shouldn't be doing that. Maybe I should not be giving up all my units. We'll make some Pegasus. Pegasus. I'll make a couple of those. And I'll go for more Lycan. Oh, actually, I have to upgrade all of these as well to be able to go for the Lycan.
Revectoring now.
Okay. Getting some heals going here. Might not be much, but it adds up.
Revectoring now.
There's no way that took one of these over here, right?
Moving as instructed.
That would be something if they did.
Pegasus in ready state.
So the Pegasus are cool because by default they are ground to air, but I can switch them over. So it's a 12-second cooldown for them to be air to air instead, but it disables the air to ground.
Enemy infantry. Type and status green.
Pegasus deployed. Green for combat operations.
Tracking in.
I'm gonna go ahead and all army hotkey. Everything over here. Not you though. You have to keep scouting the third. Their third, that is.
Receiving.
Okay. Couple of my dudes coming in from the left. We'll be able to jump again. I love that little jump.
Go.
Gonna set all my rally points over here. Might want to make a couple more Titans as well if possible. That'd be fun. I think the Orion actually is also really strong. That support unit that we had earlier. Okay.
Go.
Moving forward. I think they probably just retook their natural expansion because I
Go.
have been harassing them for a while there. It's not very easy for them to continuously get this done. I'm actually missing one of my upgrades, which I can see. There you go. Straight on one of my Pegasus. I can look at the little indicator below their health bar to see that indeed they are missing a little bit of something.
Type and status green.
Rather than going after this expansion here. Okay, fine. You can take it. We'll send one unit there, but I'm trying to overwhelm their main base. And at this point, we are starting to slowly but surely obtain the victory. I mean, their main is depleted. It's gonna take us a little bit longer to destroy their final structure, but I don't think it's gonna be really possible, unless I disconnect or something from the game. I highly doubt it's possible right now for the enemies to obtain the victory here. Okay, so Crossfire Legion, a new RTS game in 2022 that's actually playing really well. I like that they made things pretty basic, pretty straightforward, but they did not oversimplify. So there's a full campaign with 4 acts, there's multiplayer with versus, as well as a payload mode, there is co-op, as well as multiple factions, 75 units, including 9 commanders with special abilities. Now real quick, before I close things out, let's have a look at the army tab in the main menu. As you can see, there's the 3 factions right over there on the left side. For example, I can have a look at the different commanders that are available. So this one, the one that I just played, Angel, she has a null field as well as a radiation zone. But this one over here has a support drone and a drone swarm, which makes for an entirely different play style. We've got a bunch of other units here as well. For example, if I want to go to the infantry, rather than playing a vampire, I could be playing with a satyr instead. And you can see that even though there's a handful of slots available, there's already quite a few units to choose between. Now, I can imagine that it's going to be quite tricky to properly balance this if they want to turn this into a competitive 1 versus 1. Because, you know, we all know the RTS crowd in particular. A lot of people will get very sweaty about trying to optimize the perfect unit composition. So they will definitely have to be on point when it comes to their balance. Because it's very easy for one unit to, even if it's just slightly overtuned, for that unit to just be rushed out continuously, and that's going to be what most of your games are going to be. Anyways, that is going to be it for me for today. Crossfire Legion, very fun game. If you want to check it out, there's a link down below in the description of this video that will take you straight to the Steam store. Thank you for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Don't forget to smile, and I'll see you once again in the next video.